If you are not guilty of a crime, why would you throw away his clothes and delete messages and not even call his mother?
What happened to our son? That is the only question. We have consistently been degraded by the public. There's been questions about our parenting, our GoFundMe, this, that, and other. I've been called a racist. I am a healthcare provider, and I take my job very seriously. I love everyone.
Our family has gone through so much the past 3 months, waiting for the justice system to provide justice.
Complete agony, day and night. From the moment we wake up to the moment we go to sleep. It's a soul tie between all of us. We're so equally yoked and connected that we feel this.
As a mother, I knew something had happened to my child. I want justice for Daniel.
We will not stop until we get justice.
Nolan's life mattered. Nolan's life mattered. Because if something this tragic can happen to their son, it can happen to your children. So we all have to stand up together and say we're fighting for justice for Nolan Wells because he is our son too.
2 teenagers. 2 bodies of water. 800 miles apart. 2 families waiting for answers. 2 groups of friends who came home without them. In Mississippi, Nolan Wells vanished on a 4th of July boat trip. In Texas, Daniel Erving went into the water and never made it back. At first, these looked like separate tragedies. But the closer investigators looked, the more the details began to echo. Phones, messages, clothes, delays, contradictions. And in both cases, the people closest to the victims left behind more questions than answers. This is the story of Nolan Wells. And it is also the story of a case that forced investigators and a grieving nation to look twice. Because if these were only accidents, one question still hangs over both of them. What happened in the water? #2 names. By now you know the name Nolan Wells. 18 years old. A college football player. A young man who left for a holiday trip and never came home. His body was found in the water near Horn Island. His family was left with grief. Then came the questions. Then came the scrutiny. Then came the silence that followed every new explanation. This case is not just about loss. It is about what investigators can prove. And what they still cannot. But while Mississippi was trying to understand Nolan Wells, another mother was living a different version of the same nightmare. The other mother. Her name is Daniel Erving.
This wasn't supposed to happen. I have gone through, our family has gone through so much the past 3 months, waiting for the justice system to provide justice. A reasonable-minded person would know. If you are not guilty of a crime, why would you throw away his clothes and delete messages and not even call his mother?
Amen.
I want justice for my son.
Yes, Lord.
I want justice for Daniel.
Amen. Amen.
Her son Daniel was 18. His family called him Mike. He was an honor roll student. A swimmer. A young man with plans. On April 13th, he met 2 friends at Lake Ray Hubbard in Texas. They went near the water. Then everything changed. According to investigators, Daniel entered the lake and drowned. But the aftermath raised immediate questions. His clothes were discarded. His phone was thrown away. Messages linked to the incident were deleted. And for days, his body remained underwater while the people who were with him kept going about their lives. That is where this case stops being simple and starts becoming something else. What changed? When Daniel Erving's body was recovered, the evidence already looked damaged. Not damaged by the water. Damaged by what happened after. According to the arrest affidavit, one of the teens later told police he deleted communications because he knew there would be an investigation and did not want to get in trouble. That detail matters, because it changes the shape of the case. Not just what happened in the water. What happened after? Who acted? Who stayed silent? Who decided to hide something instead of help? And once you see that pattern, you start looking for it everywhere. The parallel. Here is why these two cases have been linked so often. Two 18-year-old black boys. Two bodies of water. Two sets of friends. Two families asking hard questions. Two investigations where phones became part of the story. Two public narratives that still leave people uneasy. That does not mean the cases are identical. They are not. But the similarities are real enough to demand attention. And in true crime, attention is often where the truth begins. Because when a phone disappears or messages vanish or someone waits too long to call for help, investigators do not just ask what happened. They ask why. And who benefited from the delay. The phone. Phones are not just devices in cases like this. They are records. They hold timestamps. Location data. Messages. Calls. Images. A trail of what people said and when they said it. That is why the phone issue matters so much in both cases. In Daniel Erving's case, investigators say messages were deleted and the phone was tossed away. In Nolan Wells' case, the family has said key digital evidence was wiped or altered, deepening suspicion around the final hours of the trip. That does not prove a crime by itself. But it does tell investigators where to look. And once evidence starts disappearing, every remaining detail becomes more important. The delay. One of the most disturbing parts of these kinds of cases is not always the death itself. It is the delay. The pause before help is called. The pause before the truth is told. The pause before anyone admits how serious it was. In Daniel Erving's case, there were hours between the drowning and the point where the adults and friends around him treated it like an emergency.
Disturbed him and they were trying to get out of here fast.
He says the surveillance cameras on his lakeside business showed 3 teenagers getting out of a vehicle and heading toward a railroad bridge. An hour later,
we saw 2 people come back out and they were coming very fast, running, and they got in the white vehicle and left.
In Nolan Wells' case, investigators and the family have also focused on the time gap between what happened and what people actually reported. Delays matter. Because in water cases, minutes can change everything. And in investigation cases, delays can shape the entire story. A late call is not just a late call. It can be evidence of panic. Or avoidance. Or something worse. What the families say. For both families, the central issue is not speculation. It is accountability. Daniel Erving's mother has questioned why anyone would discard clothing, delete messages, or fail to call for help if nothing happened that needed hiding. Nolan Wells' family has also pushed for a deeper look at the digital evidence, the timeline, and the behavior of those who were with him. That is what makes these cases so emotionally powerful. Not just the loss. The questions. Because when a family has to fight this hard for answers, the investigation itself becomes part of the story. And that is where the pressure begins to build. Why this matters. Cases like these force a difficult conversation. What do investigators do when official explanations feel incomplete? What do families do when evidence seems to disappear? What does justice look like when the first story does not feel like the final one? Those questions do not have easy answers. But they matter. They matter because the public often sees only the headline. The family sees the gaps. The investigators see the data. And somewhere between those 3 things is the truth. That is the space this documentary lives in. Not accusation. Not rumor. Reconstruction. The road ahead. In the next part of this investigation, we will break down the timeline. We will look at who was with Nolan Wells. Who spoke first? Who spoke later? What the phones may reveal. And why the Daniel Erving case keeps coming up in the same conversations. Because these are not just two stories. They are two investigations with the same unsettling pulse. A young man goes into the water. The people around him act strangely. The evidence starts to vanish. And the question refuses to go away. What really happened in the water?
Your understanding is of the timeline and what questions you both still have about what actually happened to Nolan.
So he basically, the night before, all the boys got together, stayed the night. 4th of July, they launched the boat. They went to the island, and that was that. I was expecting hey, we're back, like he normally does. Didn't happen. Get a phone call around 11, 4th of July. Hey, have you talked to Nolan? And I'm like, no, where is he at? So then my friend Tashima was so helpful in tracking his phone down because everyone was looking at the Snapchat location because all the kids follow each other. But I was looking at Life 360 and I'm like, well, I don't understand because I'm literally looking at his phone like it's at someone's house. So thankfully my friend did go grab the phone for us as we were kind of doing the other part of it, which was notifying, the local authorities, trying to figure out who we needed to speak to do the missing persons report, because I know that needs to be done as soon as possible, especially when we're talking about water. We wanted to make sure that we could try to find him, and that was the goal.
Who called you first initially, and how well do you know the people that Nolan was hanging out with that day? How familiar are you with them and their families?
So their families, we have not met. So Warren was the one who made the phone call, and he did contact the Coast Guard as well, which I know there's some discrepancies now with that. But he did contact them, and I was going back and forth with the Sheriff's Department and the City of Ocean Springs. Who do we talk to? So then it turned into I had to contact DMR, and DMR took the information, but then reverted me back to Ocean Springs Police Department. So it's kind of like, where do we go from here? So Jackson County basically was like, hey, we're gonna take it over. We'll go ahead and do the report.
Well, the mother of one of the boys who was with Nolan apparently posted on social media that Nolan made a decision to stay on the island and then return inland later with another group of friends. Were you made aware of that plan beforehand? Is that something that Nolan would have done or would do often?
No.
No, he wouldn't. Nolan was always taught to stay with the group. If you be with me, you come back with me. So that I don't understand. And with me being a parent, if I was in that situation, I would have told him, you're going to get back on this boat with me because I don't want to have to answer to your parents if something happened to you.
Right.
So you're going to get on the boat, and if you still don't want to get on the boat, someone give me a phone so I can make a phone call to get your parents on the phone so they can tell you to get on the boat. But at no time will I leave someone else's child, especially on the island.
So you think he got left behind then?
Yes. I don't believe he decided to stay on the island by himself. It just doesn't, that's not his character.